Christina Applegate just lost everything. Her final TV role is done. Her last movie canceled. She can't work anymore because of a disease that's destroying her body. But the real scandal isn't her illness. It's what happened decades ago that nobody knew about: the abuse, the predators, the choices she made as a child. Her upcoming memoir promises to reveal trauma that will shock even her biggest fans. Some secrets were never meant to stay buried. Christina Applegate was born on November 25, 1971, in Hollywood. Her father was a record producer. Her mother was a singer and actress, but her parents split up soon after she was born. Her life in show business began before she could even remember. When she was just 3 months old, she appeared on the soap opera Days of Our Lives with her mother. Nancy Pretty couldn't afford babysitters, so she took Christina to auditions and performances. Sometimes the baby was coaxed on stage with M&Ms while her mother acted. Most children her age were still learning to talk, but Christina had already joined the Screen Actors Guild by the time she was in kindergarten. At only 5 months old, she was in a Playox baby bottle commercial. It wasn't just cute, it was how her single mother kept them afloat. Christina's earliest memories weren't about cartoons or toys. They were about being on set, hearing stage directions, and waiting for the next scene. Nancy briefly dated musician Stephen Stills, who once gave Christina a guitar she kept for years. That world was all she knew. She wasn't just a child in Hollywood, she was surviving in it. By age 9, Christina made her film debut in a strange horror movie called Jaws of Satan. It was about snakes possessed by the devil attacking a town in Alabama. Christina played the daughter of a businessman, and the film was so obscure it barely got released. Still, it marked her jump from baby commercials to serious acting. She moved on to TV shows like Charles in Charge and Silver Spoons. In 1986, she won a Young Artist Award for her role in Heart of the City. Most kids spent their afternoons at the park. Christina spent hers learning lines and shooting scenes. But behind the success was something deeply painful. When Christina was 8, a neighborhood boy called her fat. It was just one word, but it hit her hard. She later said that single moment started a long battle with food and self-worth. At 15, right as she landed the role of Kelly Bundy in Married with Children, her mother enrolled her in Weight Watchers. Christina stopped eating properly. Some days she would eat only 5 almonds. If she ate 6, she would cry and stay home. Her mother didn't seem to understand the damage. When Christina dropped to 110 pounds, Nancy simply asked, "How'd you do it?" In 1987, Christina got the role that would make her famous. At just 15, she became Kelly Bundy, the blonde daughter in Fox's bold new sitcom. The show ran for 11 seasons and helped Fox grow into a major network. It was crude, funny, and unlike anything else on TV. Christina's version of the dumb blonde became iconic. Her lines, often called Kellyisms, turned into fan favorites. But while she made millions laugh, she was silently starving herself. Her eating disorder lasted for decades. She never talked about it in public until 2024. That year, she opened up on her podcast with Jaime Lynn Sigler. She said the pressure to be thin was so intense, she just stopped eating. She wanted her bones to show. For years, no one knew. She looked fine on camera, but inside she was breaking. Even now, she struggles with mirrors. She writes notes on the glass just to avoid breaking down. Christina Applegate's first big movie role came when she was just 19, but things didn't go the way anyone hoped. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead opened in theaters in 1991 and barely made a splash, landing at number 6 with just $4.2 million on its first weekend. In total, it earned only $25.1 million. Christina didn't even want to do the film in the first place. She was still working on Married with Children at the time, and didn't think much of commercial films. She later admitted she acted like she was above it all, even calling herself a freaking asshat for being so difficult on set. But despite its weak box office and poor reviews, the film slowly found an audience. People started renting it on VHS and watching reruns on cable. Over time, it became a cult favorite, even when critics didn't see her potential. Viewers connected with her performance. By 1998, her long-running TV show had ended, and Christina knew she had to make bold moves. She was 26 and ready to prove herself as more than just Kelly Bundy. That year, she chose 2 films that couldn't have been more different. One was The Big Hit, where she played opposite Mark Wahlberg in a wild, action-packed comedy. One of her early film experiments was Mafia, a full-on spoof where she played a mobster's fiancé. Neither that film nor the others she appeared in at the time became major blockbusters. But commercial success wasn't the point. What mattered was that she was breaking away from her old image. These roles marked her first real leap into adult parts, and they showed Hollywood that she was capable of handling edgier, more complex characters. It was a careful, calculated move, and it paid off. In 2002, she pushed things even further with The Sweetest Thing. The chemistry between her and Cameron Diaz felt so natural that audiences assumed they had been friends for years. Critics weren't impressed with the film as a whole. Roger Ebert even remarked that it wasn't a good movie. Yet he admitted that the way Christina, Diaz, and Selma Blair threw themselves into their roles made it hard not to admire. The movie was designed as a female counterpart to There's Something About Mary, with the same kind of outrageous humor and over-the-top moments. For Christina, though, it became a turning point. Audiences finally saw her not just as a sidekick, but as a genuine romantic lead. Hollywood noticed her on-screen connection with Diaz opened doors to new offers and gave her opportunities to step further into the spotlight. 2 years later, in 2004, she landed another iconic role in Anchorman. Christina played Veronica Corningstone, a TV anchor, loosely based on real-life journalist Jessica Savage. This was the role that established her on the big screen. Acting alongside Will Ferrell and his comedy troupe, she held her own in a film built heavily on improvisation. Many of the funniest scenes weren't even scripted. Her timing, delivery, and confidence transformed Veronica into more than just a character. She became a symbol of Christina's growth as a performer. Nearly a decade later, when Anchorman 2 premiered in 2013, fans embraced her return instantly. By then, she had grown from a young sitcom star into a fearless actress who could shape her roles and stand toe-to-toe with anyone on screen. Broadway had always been her dream. And in 2005, that dream came true when she starred in the revival of Sweet Charity at the Al Hirschfeld Theater. The production opened on May 4th and ran for 279 performances until December 31st. Her portrayal of Charity, Hope Valentine, earned her a Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a Musical, along with a Drama Desk nomination and a Theater World Award. Critics marveled at how effortlessly she transitioned from television comedy to musical theater. Having trained in dance since childhood, this role represented the culmination of everything she had worked toward, but the road to Broadway was anything but smooth. The show endured a grueling 3-city preview tour, beginning January 25th in Minneapolis, then moving through Chicago and Boston. The choreography was complex, the physical demands relentless, and the energy unyielding. Applegate, however, pushed through. That determination was tested on March 11th during a Friday night show in Chicago, when she broke the 5th metatarsal bone in her right foot just minutes into the performance. Remarkably, she continued for another 20 minutes before the pain became unbearable. Her understudy finished the show. Initially, producers announced that the production wouldn't continue to Broadway, but only 2 days later, Christina persuaded producer Barry Weisler to keep it alive. Her passion refused to let the curtain fall. When she returned on April 18th, she performed in special ankle-length tan medical boots. To support her injury, those boots became part of her onstage presence, both a necessity and a visible reminder of the personal cost. She continued to dance through pain, unwilling to give up, even as her body warned otherwise. The damage to her foot proved permanent. In 2013, she revealed with sadness that she could no longer dance. Though it had been part of her life since childhood, while she occasionally moved when she could, the kind of physically demanding roles she once thrived on were no longer possible. The Tony nomination was an honor, but it was bittersweet recognition of her triumph on Broadway, overshadowed by the injury that ended her future in dance. On opening night, her co-star Dennis O'Hare presented her with flowers and told the audience how deeply she had earned her place on that stage, words that captured both her courage and her struggle. Her personal life carried its own turbulence. Christina Applegate's marriage to Jonathan Shy seemed like a dream at first. Together since 1997, they married on October 20, 2001, in Palm Springs. Outwardly, it looked like forever, but trouble simmered beneath the surface. By December 2005, Shy filed for divorce. Finalized in August 2007, Christina retained both Los Angeles homes and a Lexus, while Shy walked away with a Mercedes and a Buddha statue. Neither sought support, but the emotional aftermath was devastating. Shy admitted he spiraled into a dark place, turning to alcohol, drugs, and casual sex, confessing that he felt abandoned by God. Their 6-year relationship ended, not with bitterness, but with silence and regret. Less than a year after the divorce, Christina endured an even heavier blow. Her ex-boyfriend Lee Grievous was found dead in his Hollywood apartment. He was only 26 years old. The cause was a heroin overdose, with a syringe discovered beside him. He died on June 29, 2008, just 1 month before what would have been his 27th birthday. Christina had first started seeing him in 2005 or 2006, during the time when her marriage was beginning to fall apart. Before becoming a photographer, he had worked as a fisherman in Alaska. Their relationship eventually ended. Because of his struggles with drugs, he had battled addiction since his teenage years in New York, when he was expelled from school for marijuana and later experimented with cocaine and other substances. They briefly reconnected in April 2008, but by the time he passed away, they were no longer together. Christina was devastated. She described him as an incredible person who would be missed beyond words. Just weeks later, her own life changed dramatically. In August 2008, Christina was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36. The disease was discovered early during a routine MRI. She had no symptoms, but she had been undergoing screenings since she was 30, largely because her mother, Nancy Pretty, had survived breast cancer twice. Genetic testing revealed Christina carried the BRCA1 mutation, which raised her lifetime risk of breast cancer to as high as 87% and her risk of ovarian cancer to 44%. Faced with those numbers, Christina didn't hesitate. Even though cancer was only found in one breast, she decided to have both removed. She explained that she didn't want to live in constant fear, returning every few months for tests. She wanted peace of mind. The decision shocked many after all. She was only 36 and a well-known actress whose career had always been tied, at least in part, to her appearance. But she chose what she felt was best. A month later, doctors declared her 100% cancer-free. She didn't require chemotherapy or radiation. The surgery had worked, though it came at a steep emotional cost. She later admitted there were moments when she cried and screamed. She tried to hold on to humor, joking that she would end up with the best breasts in the nursing home. Yet behind the jokes, the pain was undeniable. In 2009, she transformed that pain into something powerful. Christina launched Right Action for Women, a charity designed to help women at high risk for breast cancer access MRI screenings, which are often not covered by insurance. The charity raised millions, including a deal in which Essex pledged at least $100,000 to fund more screenings. Christina turned her darkest moment into a mission that could save lives, showing resilience even when it hurt. Her professional journey had also been marked by bold choices. After Married with Children, she returned to television in 1998 with Jessie, a sitcom where she played a single mother working at her father's German-themed bar while trying to build a better life. The role overlapped with her final appearances as Kelly Bundy, forcing her to embody two very different women at once. For the first time, she earned a Golden Globe nomination. Though Jessie lasted only 42 episodes, it proved she was more than just a teenager with one. She won a People's Choice Award for Favorite Female Performer, cementing her ability to carry a series. The character's struggles felt personal, echoing Applegate's own desire to step out of the shadow of early fame. In 2002, she surprised audiences again with a guest role on Friends. Playing Rachel's shallow sister Amy, she had never even seen the show before stepping onto the set, but her performance was unforgettable. She reprised the role in 2003 and won an Emmy for it. Years later, in 2024, she confessed on her podcast that she had only just started watching Friends. 20 years after filming it, Tan could hardly believe she had once won an Emmy for a series she hadn't watched. She laughed, saying it never felt like work. Yet the role remains one of her most memorable. By 2007, Applegate was taking more control of her career with Samantha Who, a series about a woman who loses her memory and must rediscover who she truly is. Applegate not only starred in the show but also served as an executive producer. The role earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations and 2 Emmy nominations. The story of personal reinvention mirrored the struggles she herself would one day face. The series ran for 35 episodes and won her the People's Choice Award for Favorite Female TV Star in 2008, but real life was far from polished. In 2012, Applegate and her husband, Martin Lenoble, became the targets of a stalker whose violent messages shook them to the core. One tweet read, "You stole Christina away from me. I'm going to kill you." Another threatened to blow his head off. The threats were taken so seriously that the LAPD obtained a search warrant for Twitter within days. Although the account was deleted, the stalker was never caught. At the time, Applegate already had a young daughter, and the incident forced her to heighten security around her home. It wasn't the first intrusion someone had once broken in and tried on her clothes. The biggest turning point came in 2021, during the filming of the final season of Dead to Me, when Applegate was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Looking back, she realized the first warning sign had appeared years earlier during the pilot, when she had fallen while running. At the time, she dismissed it. But as filming continued, her health declined quickly. She had to be brought to set in a wheelchair, and simple tasks like opening doors became impossible. Still, she pushed through and finished the season. "I found out on a Monday after work that I had MS," she later revealed, "a disease I'm going to have for the rest of my life." Her honesty about her condition stunned the public. "I don't enjoy living," she admitted. "I don't enjoy things anymore." She described her existence as living in hell. She has gained 40 pounds and now relies on a cane to walk, constantly afraid of slipping in the shower. Simple tasks, holding a phone, opening bottles, even standing up in the morning feel overwhelming. Some days she simply gives up and stays in bed. Her world has shrunk to the walls of her home, a place she now rarely leaves. Things worsened. In 2023, after she ate a salad at a restaurant she trusted and contracted the Sapo virus. The illness left her bedridden with days of relentless sickness. She described the experience in painfully vivid detail: diarrhea, dizziness, and vomiting. While attempting to collect a stool sample, doctors traced the infection to the ingestion of someone else's fecal matter. At one point, she awoke in a pool of her own waste. Unaware of what had happened, she had to wear adult diapers. She later told People magazine that she had visited the emergency room more than 30 times due to stomach and intestinal issues. The pain and vomiting seemed endless. That same year, she made a heartbreaking announcement. She no longer saw herself working in front of a camera. The grueling routine of waking at 5 in the morning and working 12-hour days was no longer possible. She made one last appearance at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, calling it her final awards show, yet she refused to give up entirely. She planned to transition into voiceover work, both to support her daughter and to stay connected to her craft. One project in the pipeline was reprising her role as Kelly Bundy in an animated version of Married with Children. Christina Applegate, long admired for her strength and humor, revealed a far more vulnerable side in June 2024. On her podcast, she quietly confessed to a depression so deep that even walking or getting coffee felt pointless. She didn't try to disguise her truth. "I don't enjoy living," she admitted. At 52, after decades in the spotlight, this was the rawest admission she had ever made. Later that year, in November 2024, she spoke candidly about the reality of living with multiple sclerosis. She described lying in bed, screaming from sharp, unrelenting pain. Her hands no longer worked. She couldn't lift a phone or open a bottle. A fellow MS sufferer on the same podcast likened the agony to knives stabbing the stomach. Christina didn't soften her words. "It's the worst," she said flatly. Just 2 weeks after her mental health confession, rumors erupted in the press that she was on suicide watch. She quickly dispelled them. She explained she had never been under such watch, and never had suicidal intent. Being open about her struggles, she said, was a way of healing, of stripping away shame. She knew the media had twisted her words, but she refused to apologize for speaking honestly. By early 2023, her body had already changed in ways she could not ignore. Medication and inactivity had added 40 pounds. The woman once known for her dancing now leaned on a cane. Watching herself in the final season of Dead to Me was excruciating. She could not get through it in one sitting. She wanted audiences to know she understood how different she looked, but also that no one could see the battles raging inside. Then came the night of the 2024 election, when Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris. Christina went online and posted a fiery message. Anyone who voted against women's or disability rights should unfollow her. She revealed that her daughter was in tears and announced she was shutting down her fan account. When confronted with a sexist comment, she responded with unfiltered rage. By the next morning, she tried to walk it back. She said she had been sobbing, not angry, and only wanted to lose herself in Bravo shows. But the internet never forgets, and for many fans, the damage was done. A few months later, in January 2025, wildfires ripped through Los Angeles. Still shaken from the election, Christina erupted again on her podcast, lashing out at people who claimed Hollywood deserved the disaster. She defended her city fiercely, reminding listeners that most of Los Angeles is made up of ordinary people, not celebrities. Her co-host tried to calm her, but she wouldn't be silenced. "I'm done being quiet," she said. The episode ignited another wave of online backlash. Some praised her candor. Others declared they were finished with her, but she pressed forward. In March 2026, her memoir, You with the Sad Eyes, was slated for release. She promised it would unveil trauma she had never spoken of: abuse, struggles with body image, and abandonment. Having acted since the age of 3, she carried decades of untold stories. The book, she insisted, wouldn't exaggerate for effect. It would simply be honest. She admitted the prospect was frightening, but said it was time. Meanwhile, an animated revival of Married with Children had been in development, offering her the chance to return to the role that had made her famous. Through voice acting work she was still able to do, she would have once again brought Kelly Bundy to life. But in July 2025, the project was cancelled. The studio left the possibility open. But for now, Kelly Bundy was gone. In 2023, Christina embraced a different kind of role. Arriving at the Emmys with her cane, she forced the world to confront disability without looking away. Behind the scenes, she pushed for accommodations, asking producers for help with dressing and support on set, and they listened. Years earlier, she had survived breast cancer. Now, she used her voice for others living with MS, cancer, or any condition that left them feeling unseen.